Hey everyone, welcome back. A few weeks ago I made a video about my interpretation of a realistic urban survival kit. This is a kit that was designed to get me home or to make me as comfortable as possible while I was away from home. It was a kit designed for my needs, and it didn't contain a lot of things that people were expecting for it to contain in the way of weapons, etc., because all of these things are illegal in my area. So I made it as a kit designed for my needs in my situation. In this video, I'm going to attempt to do the same thing, and I'm going to give my interpretation of an Altoids type survival tin. I'm calling it an Altoids type survival tin because I'm not actually going to use an Altoids tin. While it's fun to try to cram as much as you can into an Altoids tin, it's really not practical to do so from my perspective, because it has an inherent defect right off the bat, and that defect, in my opinion, is it's shaped like a rectangle. Now, what's wrong with that? I don't want to appear to be condescending, but if you remember your planar geometry from high school, the rectangle is not the most efficient use of space. What is? Well, the square. Now, let me show you what I mean. I'm going to bring you down at the tabletop. Okay, I've taken some paracord and I've bent it as best as I can into two shapes. The first one is the square and the second one is the rectangle. Now, the dimensions of the square should be 6 by 6, okay? And the rectangle I've made 2 by 10. So, to find the area of the square, you multiply side A by side B. So 6 times 6, this contains 36 square inches of area. The rectangle, 2 by 10, multiply A times B, and you get 20 square inches of area. Now, the interesting thing is, these two lengths of paracord are exactly the same. So you can see that this illustrates the fact that the rectangular shape is not as efficient as the square. So rather than try to pack everything in here, I looked for a container that was as square as I could find it and had approximately the same dimensions as the Altoids tin. This tin I find to be a lot more useful because A, I can fit more, B, I can fit larger items, and C, it fits in my cargo pants pocket or my back pocket on the weekend, or on the weekday when I'm at work. I can put it in my suit jacket pocket, and it fits rather nicely. It's inobtrusive, and it's not as impractical for me as this Altoids tin is. So let's take a look at the contents of this kit that I've developed for my needs. So while we call these Altoids survival tins, these are by no means survival tins that you would want to rely on primarily for extracting yourself from a difficult situation. These are more convenience type kits where you would have necessary items closer at hand, so you wouldn't have to fish through your main container, and God forbid, if you do become detached from your main container, at least you have some items which will come in handy in a bad situation. So right off the bat, on the top of the tin itself, I have a mirror. Now, this mirror is it's a plastic mirror. It's not glass, but it's a large-sized mirror. So if I get something in my eye, or I have to use it as a signaling device, I have that accessible. I'm very paranoid about my eyes. I've always had eye issues. So, you know, if I get a speck of something in my eye, it's a big deal to me. So I want to address that as quickly as possible. So I also, along the same vein, have a small tube of eye wash. It's more of like a lubricating type drop, which I keep right on the side here next to the mirror. So that's basically for my eye protection. Next, I have a magnifying, one of these Fresnel lens type magnifiers, again for extracting splinters, deer ticks, for reading, and for making a fire. This is a great piece of kit. It doesn't cost much. In fact, you can get a multi-package of something, of 10 for something like $4 or $5. Not a big deal. So carry that. I have a small envelope of medications, some ibuprofen, some naproxen sodium, and some Imodium for diarrhea. Getting a headache, or even worse, diarrhea in the woods is a bad thing. On the train would be an even worse thing. So I keep something for these common ailments. Next up, because I do spend time outdoors, sting and bite pads, should I happen to get packed by some hungry insect. This is in my pack. There are 2 of them here. Doesn't take up any space at all. And again, on the top I've put items that I probably want to access more frequently. So, you know, Band-Aids, whether it's a paper cut or something more serious, getting hung up on a thorn or whatever. I've got a regular size Band-Aid, knuckle Band-Aids, and if possible, try to get brand names as often as you can, because the cheaper ones really don't do as well. Here's an example of a cheaper one, which I don't know. I would probably use this as a last resort, and I really should swap it out. I've got some burn gel here because if you're dealing with fire, chances are you can get burned, and this takes the sting out of it, and it cools it down a bit and allows you to carry on with other things in the meantime. Some butterfly closures for anything which is a little more serious. Keep those in there as well. And I've got 2 packets of triple antibiotic ointment. Again, as you can see, first aid items mostly towards the top. Some alcohol prep pads to clean the wound. And if it's something a little more severe, some hemostatic gauze to stop the bleeding. And finally, for wound care, I have a little kit here which contains powder, some more bandages, splinter remover. There's a wound sealer here which you put on top, some more butterfly closures, and some more wound seal. Pick this up at the local pharmacy. Not an expensive thing, and it's very handy. Okay. Ticks are a problem for me, so I have a tick key. This goes over the tick and under, and you pull it out, and usually it comes out with the head intact, because the last thing you want to do is to detach the head of the tick from its body, because then it regurgitates the bacteria that it carries into your bloodstream, and you don't want that. Carry some Strike Anywhere matches, about 3 of them here. I've got some redundant means of making fire, so the matches are a key component. I like using matches, and I love the Strike Anywhere matches, and I've actually coated these with wax to make them slightly waterproof. Sorry about that, the dog just walked into my tripod. Okay. I also have a small striker in case I can't find a rock or an abrasive surface to strike the matches on. I carry a tea light candle, 1001 uses, light, warmth, waterproofing, strengthening cordage, you name it. Not an expensive item to carry, and very convenient multi-use item. Carry a small finger light. This actually goes on your finger. Turn it on, and you can maintain some semblance of hands-free operation while you're taking care of someone's cut or whatever in the dark, or looking in someone's mouth or ear or whatever. Handy little light, not expensive at all. Carry a Nesbit cube, because this is a very good means of getting a fire going, or you could use it on its own to heat up a cup of coffee or boil some water, whatever. Some Surefire, I forgot what these are called exactly, but you know what they are. They float, you can light them and use them to get a fire going. A mini Bic lighter, which never really lets me down. I've never had a Bic lighter fail on me. Even when they get wet, they light. I have a small military style, I believe they're called P35 can openers. In a city environment, if canned food is all there is, it's good to be able to open it. So very small, very inexpensive, very useful item. I have the original Swiss, I believe it's a classic Swiss Army knife. I have this primarily for the scissors, and the blade is small enough so that this would be legal just about anywhere, but the scissors are probably the finest little scissors that you can get. It also contains tweezers and toothpick on the other side, along with, I believe, a nail file and a flathead screwdriver on top of that. So, great piece of kit. I have some safety pins, which are primarily used for mending your clothing. Should your pants get torn, zipper fail on you, pocket get torn off, whatever, you can use these for a quick instant repair. I carry jute twine. I like jute twine. You can use it to tie things. You can use it to start a fire. I've actually used it once to replace a broken shoelace. Very light, very strong for its size, natural, all burning. Carry it. I have another means of striking, making a spark with one of these one-handed sparkers, which you could use with the jute twine. Very useful item. Very cheap, waterproof, very light. So that's in my kit. And lastly, a very good pair of tweezers, which I could use for splinters, for ticks, for other kinds of thorns, insects, whatever. A good pair of tweezers, I think, is a very useful item to carry with you. And then the tin itself, it's big enough so that I could boil some water in here as well, and I could use it as a container, whereas with the Altoids tin, yes, you can boil water, but you're talking probably 2 ounces of water in here, whereas this gives you a much higher capacity. So there it is, my realistic Altoids type survival tin. I hope you enjoyed the video, got some ideas. Again, I welcome suggestions, comments, but again, keep in mind that this is a kit that works for me in my environment and in my situation. You'll notice, for example, that there are no fish hooks. I don't really go anywhere where there's a large enough body of fresh water that I can fish if I needed to. There's nothing like that in a city environment, and where I am anyway. And when I go into the woods, I usually come across small streams that don't have fish in them. So to carry fish hooks, yeah, they don't weigh a lot, but I know I would never use them, so I don't carry them. I do have some fish hooks in my backpack. I have some there. I have a small fishing kit, but I don't have it as my everyday pocket carry, if that makes sense. So there it is. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.